Hi folks, I'm back. I wanted to wrap up the video about how narcissists hook you. I wasn't able to fit everything in 20 minutes yesterday, so I'm going to wrap it up today. Like, share, comment, subscribe if you like this content, please. So yesterday I left off, I ended by telling you how he'd initially hooked me, because narcissists, they are like the holosuite, as I described, the Star Trek holosuite. They mirror your desires, they work you out, they figure you out what your desires, beliefs, hopes, dreams are, and then they mirror and project it back to you in the form of love bombing. So you end up thinking you're onto an amazing thing. You've met someone unexpectedly that matches everything you've been looking for. It feels like it's God sent, really and truly. So what I didn't tell you, because I couldn't fit it in yesterday, was how narcissists rush intimacy. They really do. And that is really how they will really hook their claws into you, because they will rush intimacy. So they will rush a relationship. They will fit into 6 weeks what should be more than 6 months. And rushing physical sexual intimacy is part of that. If they can, then they will, because they know that doing that, it's easier to hook you emotionally and spiritually, as well as physically, by the act of intimacy and intensity. So when I went to the town centre for the final 3 days of my trip away, I remember booking the apartment, and I actually didn't know what to expect. I didn't know whether he'd stay with me or he would stay at his own home, which was round the corner, because we hadn't engaged in any kind of physical intimacy, no kissing, anything like that. A little bit of hand holding, but just very minor. And there wasn't any kind of open flirtation. So he was just, attentive, professional with showing me around on the Monday, and it was all very pleasant. And then speaking to me, it just felt like it was an intense connection. So I didn't know what to expect. When we got to the apartment on the Thursday, I remember him taking my hand and walking me into the apartment, and I thought, oh, this is different. He has never shown this sort of take charge behaviour before, but see what happens. We went into the apartment. I spoke to the apartment manager, and then he went into the bathroom, called me into the bathroom, and gave me this really full-on kiss. And I was taken aback. I was like, oh my gosh, and I would admit that if I think about it, thinking back on it, my intuition was like, whoa, this is too much, too soon. He's never given you any indication of this. Yes, you smiled a lot and he's intensely steady, but you never had this. He's never given you this impression. But I sort of overrode it because I just felt like it was an intense connection. We went to the town centre, and he bought us 2 matching beaded bracelets as well. And it just seemed like, oh well, why is he buying us matching bracelets? We're not a couple, but he did that anyway. And so this thing about rushing intimacy is what they do to destabilize you. So just before being intimate, he actually said to me, I just want to have a good time. I don't want anything serious. I'm not really for relationships or anything like that. And he said that to me just as we were going to be intimate, and I kind of felt like
that's where it all stems from.
Him saying that to me just at that time was quite calculating, really, because he could have said that to me any other time rather than just then at that particular moment in time. But there was a part of me that was thinking, my intuition actually said, just tell him to go now. Tell him to get out and go and just see the town centre by yourself. You don't need him to come with you. But then there was another part of me that was like, well, you really, you're here. You're going in 3 days, and you should explore this. You should enjoy yourself. Okay, it's an intense connection, but how often do you meet someone where you have an intense connection? It's few and far between, and I had not been with anyone in a relationship or intimate for about 4 years. I wasn't lonely, but it's just one of those things where I don't really meet people that I have that kind of connection with in any way. So I don't feel that intensity, that spark or anything like that. This doesn't happen often. So there was a part of me that was brushing my intuition away, saying, well, you're going back to the UK. You'll be gone in 3 days and you'll never see him again. So just enjoy yourself, because you can just forget about it and just chalk it down to a good time, and that's it. And you don't meet people often that it feels that intense with, so just seize the moment and grab the opportunity. I'm gonna turn around now because behind me is the concrete jungle. Yeah. So I thought, okay, what the hell, and we had an intense few days. Even though he said that to me, we spent the whole day, the next day together. And actually it was the next day, the Friday, that he bought the bracelets for us. Twin matching bracelets. So that kind of hit me, off kilter, destabilised me a bit. Like, why is he doing this? Why is he buying us twin bracelets together when, he doesn't want anything serious? And then he's got his son spending the entire day with us. And then he took me round to his home. It was his family were there, and he put on a barbecue for us. And I just felt dysregulated. It was just like my head felt like there was a cloud there. And he was asking me, what's wrong? Why are you so quiet? Why are you overthinking and overanalyzing? But my head was all over the place. I didn't know what was going on. I wanted to try to make sense of it, and I got really quiet. I remember being at his home with his family and just looking out into the ether, like wondering what on earth is going on, just couldn't make sense of it. Like, you don't want anything serious, but you've got me here playing happy families. It's just a complete mind fuck, so there was that. But I thought, I'm just going to enjoy myself. I'm not going to think too deeply into it. I do like him a lot. I like this whatever it is that we have, but we're going to go our own separate ways and we'll never see each other again. And when it was time to leave on the Saturday and I left, you know, he continued with the phone calls. When I got back to the UK, he phoned, there's a lot of video calls with his son as well. And it was every day. Every day he would call me and tell me, you know, he missed me. He wanted me to come back. And it's a part of me, part of him that felt like it was missing, and that was me, and vice versa. And I just wanted to, I felt like I was torn away, like I was dragged away too soon. So I wanted to go back as well. And the love bombing continued. So he kept with the love bombing, telling me, wanted me to come back. You know, he hadn't felt that way about anyone before. And he just felt like he couldn't focus, he couldn't do anything. He just felt empty without me. And so that continued for a few days, and as you can imagine, it felt intense. And so within 3 days of returning, I had booked to go back in 17 days back to his country. And he said to me when he was love bombing me that I could just stay with him. I asked him, how long should I book for? How long do you want me to come for? Just to kind of get an idea of how he felt. And he was like, forever. You know, the longer the better. I don't even want you to just come for 2 weeks. I just want you to just stay. And obviously in my mind, I should have thought, why is he saying this to me? He's only known me for a week. But I was mistaking the intensity for sustainability. I was mistaking the love bombing for actual feelings, and it wasn't that at all. So I booked, and the job, as I said to you, I hated the job that I had, even though it was well paid and it was finally the manager's position that I wanted. They got me under deception, so I just quit that job. And the previous job before that, I had a narcissistic boss, and so I just felt like I just need to take a break. So I quit the job, and that was the only thing that was stopping me from going back to him in my mind. So I booked to go back, and I remember him saying to me, if you wanted to stay here, then it doesn't matter if you don't have a job. I've got a job. I will look after all of us. You, me, and my son. I will provide for all of us. I just want you back. I just want you back here. And me feeling like I just was drawn away too quickly. I didn't know what this was. I just needed to go back to find out what it was. Because it was just so intense between the two of us, and clearly still in communication, even though we're on different continents now. So yeah, I booked to go back. So there you go. There were the flags. The acting happy families, the buying us the twin matching bracelets, the telling me that, you didn't want anything serious, yet he was doing all of this, playing happy families and buying us twin bracelets and telling me when I got back, that he wanted me back and he'd provide. And even if he needed to give me his name for me to stay, he would, because he just wanted me back. And he felt that what we had, he just didn't want to throw away. He just didn't want to end it. So booked to go back. Then there was another glitch. Now there's glitches now starting to appear in the holodeck, the holosuite. So there was those things, mixed messages, cognitive dissonance. That's why I was in this fog of cognitive dissonance. He was telling me one thing and doing another, So after I booked, we spoke for 3 days, and then it disappeared. It disappeared after I had booked the flight and stuff to go. Disappeared. And I remember I had his brother's phone number. No, I had his brother on Instagram. So I messaged his brother and said to his brother, is he okay? Because I hadn't heard from him. And I remember before leaving, he had said to me that his phone was broken and he was going to get another phone. So I didn't know what had happened. I messaged the brother. The brother asked the brother, is he okay? Because I haven't heard anything from him. The brother said, yeah, he's fine. It's just his phone. So there's me thinking, because the first few days I was like, what the hell is going on? And then I phoned a friend of mine and she gave me some rubbish advice. My intuition was going off, saying something's not right here. How can he just disappear like this? But a friend gave me advice saying, it's happened to me before. My phone's broken. You can't just jump to these conclusions. You're going to ruin a beautiful thing. If you get paranoid, you can't judge him based on previous relationships, yada, yada, yada. Causing me to override my intuition, by making me feel that I was being unreasonable when my intuition was right. So he then messaged me on Instagram telling me, I'm just borrowing someone's phone just to let you know my phone's broken and it'll be a while. I have to wait till payday to buy another phone. But when I get another phone, then we'll keep talking. Just send me the flight details and I'll come to the airport and collect you. So I wanted to continue talking to him. And me being me, I was like, look, I know you get another phone at the end of the month, but I'm scheduled to come before the end of the month, just before, and I want to continue talking to you. So I will loan you the money for another phone, and then you can just pay me back over some installments. So he said, yeah, that's fine. So I sent him some money to get a phone, and he got the phone and called me immediately when he got the phone, picked the money up, got the phone, showed me the phone on video call and was, really happy about it and stuff. And we continued talking and everything was back to normal. Then he basically, I basically went to his country. He picked me up from the airport. It was very intense. But I kind of expected it this time. It was very intense. Got the apartment. I booked an apartment and he said I could stay at his home, but he lives in his home with his family. I don't want to stay in his home with his family. No offense to the family, but I'm used to being by myself. So I booked an apartment. We're coming up to the 20-minute mark, so I'm going to wrap this up soon. And I booked a 2-bedroom apartment because I knew that he had his son. And I didn't want his son to be sleeping on a sofa bed. And I didn't want him to leave his son with his family and spend the time with me when, his son should be with him. And he comes as a package. I remember him saying to me, no one's ever done this for me before, and you make me feel so special. You know, it's just, I'm so lucky to have found you and stuff. And so I booked a 2-bedroom apartment and not a 1-bedroom apartment for all of us to stay in. And we stayed there in that apartment for 2 weeks, basically. 2 weeks. And it was absolute bliss. So those 2 weeks, I wanted to see how things would go. And things were perfect. No arguments, no tiffs, nothing. And I basically said to him, because I had booked for 2 weeks, I said to him, I've got 2 weeks, but I could stay for longer because I don't have that job to go back to. And he said to me, you know, please, I want you to stay for as long as you can, you know, and I'm happy for you to stay. So I just figured, yeah, okay. So I didn't go back on that return flight. I didn't go back, I stayed. Instead, I extended my stay. And in that 2 weeks that I was there, we spoke about the excursion business. And because I didn't have a job, I was applying for jobs online. And we were talking about the excursion business. And he wanted me to stay. And I thought, oh, okay, this sounds like a good idea. He said the excursion business, the setup costs would be £3,000 roughly, or €3,000 for a tour operator's license at some point. And that seemed fine. So we spoke about it, we wrote out some plans, and then we went to the town hall municipal and registered the excursion business. We sat down, spoke about what we were going to do, about our social media accounts, about the registered business, that he would run the business, he would do the excursions because he's a qualified tour guide. I didn't see the qualifications, by the way. And I would support him with the admin for the social media and just the general admin, finance, and you know, responding to customers and stuff, and if necessary organising accommodation, flights, bookings, stuff like that. So we set up and registered the company. I also went to the police station and extended my visa to 3 months, from 1 month standard tourist visa to 3 months. So I knew I could stay there for longer. And I was applying for remote roles only. In my head, it was just remote. I didn't want any kind of office job. And if necessary, I would come back to the UK, do some temporary roles, do some temping, contract work for a bit, and then go back. And do that as long as I could until the business took off, and I got a remote role. As fate would have it, while I was out there, I actually got my current job. I had 2 interviews, and I didn't even apply for this job. They found me on LinkedIn and asked me if I was interested, and I said yes. And I had 2 interviews while I was out there, and they knew I was out there, and I got the job. So there was all of that, and it seemed absolutely amazing. The 2 weeks made me feel like, you know what, if this is how it is now, and we're not arguing, and if anything, we're going from strength to strength, I don't have anything to worry about at this point. And I wanted to know even more. I really did, you know, and I embraced the fact that he came as a package with his son, and we were just playing happy families, you know. Obviously there's a selfish part of me that would have been happy just to have him to myself, but it was what it was. He came as a package and I accepted that, you know. So being with him and him spending his time going to work, coming back, being together, you know, he wasn't into a crazy lifestyle, out all the time, out with the guys, this, that and the other. No, he seemed to go to work, come back, be devoted to his son, and, you know, just still very attentive, you know, to me, to his son, to us as, you know, a family, so to speak. So it just felt like it was heaven sent. And I remember sending him a message saying, you know what, I just feel like you've got my heart. You really do have my heart. So don't break it, basically. That's what I said to him. Don't break it. I just feel really happy right now. I feel like you've got my heart. Don't break it. And I didn't get a response to that message at all. The other thing was that I said to him, why, how are your family not concerned? Because you've just been with me. Actually, I'm going to walk this way. I said, you've just been with me and you stayed in the apartment with me, and your family haven't really heard from you at all. And, you know, you've got your son as well. Your son's only 2 years old and you're spending this time with me and you haven't really been round there to see them. And he said, my family are okay with it. They know I do my own thing when I'm ready. And there was a part of me that thought, well, yeah, but that's all very well if it was just you by yourself, but are they not worried about your son because you're with me, playing happy families, and they don't know me? They met me a few times, but they don't know me, and you've got your son, you know, their nephew, their grandson around me, and they don't know me like that. And he was like, no, it's fine. You know, it's fine. I'm his dad and they know I do my thing when I'm ready and they're not worried. I mean, they did see him because he had to go there. You know, the kindergarten's around the corner from his home, but still, to go from living there to hardly seeing him and there not being a concern, that my intuition did say something to me. But again, I overrode it because I was just feeling like we were having an amazing time and it was just getting better by the day. So those things were the glitches that were happening. And, you know, another thing was that he was quite keen to have me go around his family and introduce me to his family and his friends, and that felt really nice. It just felt like, oh, you know, someone that he's not trying to hide anything. He's just, you know, he wants me to meet his friends and his family and spend time with them and have me stay over and come, you know, bring his son around me and, you know, we're all together. And in my mind, there was my intuition saying, this is a lot. This is, you know, something that wouldn't be happening. Not for me anyway. I won't bring my young child around someone that I wasn't sure, like I'd not known for that long. But it kind of made me feel like, well, if he feels that way and he's doing that, then he's serious. He has to be, you know. You don't think that people will use their children as pawns in that way. So those were the red flags, you know. Rushing intimacy, basically. Rushing it. trying to fit in 6 weeks what you would fit in 6 months, basically, and or maybe longer, you know. And I had these red flags of the rush in the intimacy, the saying I don't want anything serious, but yet buying us twin bracelets, having a family barbecue and having me round there playing Happy Families. Also when I was coming back to the UK the first time, he actually bought stuff for me. He bought trinkets and things for me to go back with. So that was like, just seemed really thoughtful and caring of him, you know. But then the glitches were showing then. The fact that he was saying one thing, doing another, and, you know, disappeared on me for 3 days. That was the crazy thing. The mini ghosting. It was a mini ghost, mini discard that had really got me triggered. And I didn't show him that I was triggered other than calling his brother to see if he was all right. And then obviously sending him some money to get a phone. But these were all temperament checkers that he was doing on me as well. Destabilising me, putting me in a fog and doing temperament checkers on me to see how I would respond. So these were the red flags and the glitches in the holosuite before I knew what was going on, you know. And the next video, I'm going to talk about when it all started to go wrong. And believe me, that's not something that you want to miss. So I'm on 32 minutes now. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back to fill you in on the next episode, okay?